Are you? I think I've beat the show today, and it's 11 o'clock Australian Eastern Daylight Time in Australia. Okay, let me have a look here at where we're at. I've got my moderators down here on this screen. This is so cool. This is bigger than Ben-Hur. I've got a demonstration set up over on the other side here, the scroll saw. You can swing around and have a look at that. It's already set go. And I've also got a bit of a demonstration set up, nearly set up, ready to go, which is the sharpening. I was going to do sharpening for you guys as well today. So I'm not up to water stones. I still use an oil stone. I've been using it for 44 years. It's a long time, isn't it? But it does the job for me. I don't get up to massively fine grades. I don't get to a grade where a chef would want it. So a chef would want somewhere between a 6,000 and a 10,000 grit. I don't quite get there. I have a double-sided oil stone. And I'll show you a couple of the tips that I use with that. All right. We've checked the stream is running well. I think it's going well because I've got a few people up there who have said, "G'day, Mark Bongers, morning all. Carl Karcher, greetings from Northern Kentucky, Dave. Peter Lysiak, morning all. John Lafferty, morning all. Forbidden Disc, I don't know what that means from Germany. Hello, how are you? Mel 192 midnight here in Holland. Again, drunk. Dave Gray, David M in Wisconsin. Francisco Martins, morning for all of you here in Portugal. It's midnight, Graham. So morning, Dave. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. Spring in the Blue Mountains is just absolutely beautiful. You may have seen a photo I popped up on Facebook the other day of one of the trees in the garden. It's a beautiful time of the year. Where are we? I shall have a quick look at what else is happening here. Interesting things from the week. I've got a little bit more from the wood show down in Canberra that I thought you might be interested. I've got a wood chopping demonstration. It's just two guys. I've got a piece of hardwood. This is Australian eucalypt, which is extremely hard. And they get through it pretty quickly with an axe. One's a left-handed wood chopper and the other one's a right-handed. Did you know that they work in teams? Fro equals Mrs. Mini Disc. How do you like that? See, this is working already. Thank you very much for that, Carl. This is cool. Okay, and the other thing, the Logosol wood mill and four-head machining planer. Unbelievable. So I've got a couple of videos there to show you as well, and also something from Dave Monet over in the US. It's an incubator that he's decided he's going to restore, and I'm hoping he hasn't taken on too much. He's saying that outside at the moment where he lives, it gets down to -4, -13 degrees Celsius. Can you believe that? And he's got a bit of a makeshift workshop set up in his basement in the house, which is a lot warmer. It's around 20 degrees, so he's staying in there, not out in the shed. He'll have to come out like a bear from hibernation, I guess. So I'll throw up some pictures of that a little bit later on. Some interesting stuff. Now, Steve Innes, who is one of the guys who is the moderator on the show as well, and just a Facebook friend, and I've met him through the show, lives down in Melbourne, lovely person. He has gone out of his way to help me out with the plans for the Stanton bench. Now, this is a quick ad, so if you don't want to listen to it, just turn the sound down. Otherwise, listen and we'll be good. What he's done, I did the Stanton bench as line drawings because that's what I know how to do. So I drew up the pictures and JPEG'd them and did all the sections, and away you go. Now, Steve is extremely good with SketchUp, and he's not only done a full metric set of working drawings for me as a PDF, which I've now put on my Etsy site, he's also done them in Imperial. So you guys in the States who are kind of die-hard feet and inches guys, jump in. The plans are now available. You can download them both. You can download the metric and the Imperial set. Now, we've done it an interesting way. I've done it a full Imperial grid, which is 3 3/4 inches center to center on this layout. So if you intend on using the path guide system, you will still need to run with the 96mm center grid as that. But all the rest of the dimensions are imperial. If you want to just go with a 3 3/4 inch grid and make it up yourself, you can do that, of course. Or you don't even have to use the grid at all if you don't want to. But the great thing is that he's just done it. It's absolutely fantastic, and I'm so appreciative of him. He's such a nice guy. Anyway, the plans are there, and also TSO Products, I think, are looking at wanting to list them on their own website as well. So that's a massive feather in my cap. I can't believe it. You know, just a little guy in Australia in a garage. Next thing you know, world player. How cool is that? So thank you very much for everyone who's purchased the plans. Jump in, they're only cheap. Buy them if you want, and you can have a bench like I'll be demonstrating the sharpening on a little bit later on. Next thing, room air filter. My room air filter had a circuit board die in it. So I took it down, and I'd noticed that I'd started coughing a little bit, and that wasn't great. So there's air, you know, my dust extraction system is second to none. It's really, really good, but at the same time, you still get those fines that are floating around the air and not good for you. So I managed to put the filter back up again, and what I've done also is I put an LED light under it. So I'll tip this camera up. There it is. That's the filter up the top there. Now it moves, it's a 1,000 cubic feet a minute, I think is what it moves, which is a truckload of air. I've got it turned off at the moment because it makes a little bit of noise when I turn it up to number 3. But it's beautiful. And that light underneath it is one of the LED lights that I've gone crazy on. And I've finished all the LED lights off in here. So all done. Now you guys are seeing everything, because last week I stuffed up a little bit and forgot to move off one picture. And I was talking away, and I said, yeah, you can see this. I was talking about the, I'll grab it. I was talking about the lightning conductors that I put down the inside of my, and you won't be able to see it against my beard, but just there, I'll put my finger against it. There's the screw, just there, and it comes through the inside just here. Now that's a lightning conductor. What I was doing, I was talking about all of that. You're still looking at a picture of some balustrades and also Barry the pug when he was a younger dog lying on the floor there. People were saying, what are you doing, Dave? What are you doing? Okay, on time today I am. Yes. Okay, you guys keep on chatting between yourselves. As I say, if you've got anything there, no, I'm just also quickly having a look at that one, Zane S. Have you ever tested the airflow circulation when the room filter is on? I don't have any swanky machines. Like Matthias has got machines like that. He can check the levels of particles in the air. I don't have something like that, so I can't really test. My lungs are the test, and how I'm reacting is the test. So if I walk out of the room and I've got a little bit of a tick on my throat, I know it's not going great if I walk out of the room and the air smells sparkly, which it does. It's fantastic. I've got to move on, got to move on, got to move on. The moderators will throw up things that, you know, if it's a direct question to me that needs an answer from me that's no one else in the chat can help, well then the moderators will flick it through to me. Photos from where you are watching or projects you are building in your shop. And this is where we'll throw Dave's up at the moment. So I have Dave's, and I can talk over this because there's no sound on it. So he's rebuilding an incubator. So Dave, here's your moment in the sun. And I have a couple of notes about it. So you got all the shelves and the old style box that it is. It had endured some wetness and what appears to be some kind of worm damage. I was not aware that redwood would do that. Now there's a sheet metal section down there. You can see it. It's there to direct the air in the proper direction. That's pretty cool. What a lovely old box. And it's a shame that it gets attacked, you know, but that's the way it goes. So he's had a go at sanding it off. The floor was rotten out. It's 10mm thick tongue and groove. He's ordered a router bit set. Hello, there's his supervisor, his dog. I don't know what the dog's name is. Dave, if you can let me know what the dog's name is, that'd be great. Ordered a router bit to recreate the TNG. The dog was making sure I'm not cutting corners. Some of the new and the old. So there's the old there. Disassemble and expose more to fabricate new pieces you made out of poplar, semi-hardwood. There's some new parts that he's bought. There's his dado stack for doing the trenching. And Dave said he's made a mistake here as well. Can you spot it? I haven't had a look there. But not to worry. There's the new parts that he's made for it. Isn't this cool? So it was too cold, -4. What a suki lala. -4 outside, but in his shed. He's got to get some heating happening in there, but inside, in his underneath, it's nice and warm, 20 degrees. All right. What else are we doing? All right, okay. One of the things I normally say, keep the channel afloat. Use the Amazon links. Now, in the description box below this picture, what I've done is I've put a link for all 5 or 6 different countries down there. So if you click on that link, it will take you to our Craig bench clamp. But once you're in under that link, which is basically my little shop, you can go shopping around in there. Anything you purchase will go back towards helping the show. So it's not going into my pocket. Basically, it's coming in here and I buy stuff to run the show with, and we can all keep the thing happening. So little thing like that makes a big difference to me and to be able to keep doing this for you. Next thing. I've got a thing here that says next week we'll be looking at, but I haven't worked out what to look at yet. Maybe I need some suggestions. Okay, Bo Lopal, I think maybe you moderators need to get rid of that. Okay. Right, thank you. Thank you. All right. See how good are the moderators? They're just doing this for me in the background. It's great. All right, let's have a look now at the Logosol, where it is. Here we go. You won't hear me at all in the background. This is from the show, and away.
They usually vibrate out. Yeah, but the finish is good enough with that.
Man, that's so much easier than what I'm doing at the moment. Yeah. So at the moment, my sled is basically, I'm coming across it, I'm just kind of leaning on it and it just pushes my way through. Yeah. But what ends up happening is I'm
So you just raise the height of this to be able to compensate for what you actually want here as far as the leak, because that's on the steady there, I take it.
Correct, yeah. So if we want to do another slab,
so it lifts the log rather than the sled.
Yeah, grab one end. Down the ground.
There we go. Now, I'm sorry about the noise kicking up there. I should have warned you. I normally warn people that, when videos or when I start using machine here come in, that it's going to get a little bit noisy. And as John says there, no dust mask. Yeah, I was a bit surprised as well. Let's jump into the wood chop section now, these guys are as strong as. Here we go.
So ladies and gentlemen, you can see here that Mick's actually cutting in a pattern. Our microphone's not working, so I'll just shout at you. The idea being that he's cutting in a way that's going to reduce the number of blows to cut through the timber.
So normally we start in a pattern of 4 and we cut in a circular motion. So you'll see that he'll cut on his near side closest to him and then work his way around the log. We tend to do 2 hits on the bottom, 2 hits on the top to get that first chip out. You see the big chip on the ground, and then as we get further into the log, obviously the width of the blade becomes the same, but the timber's thicker, so we'll actually have to go to a pattern of 3 hits on each side. Like I said before, you can see it's a very different action to cutting straight up and down like the underhand. The idea being that Nick will cut through halfway to where those chalk lines are, and then be able to turn around and cut on the other side. So now that Mick's done, Andrew's going to take over. So Mick's actually a left-handed cutter and Andrew's a right-handed cutter. So hopefully their lines in the middle actually meet, because otherwise it'll be a little bit hard for Andrew to get this block off. Again, you can see that pattern as they cut around. Things like that. So there's a lot of force here, can damage it. Like Darcy said before, the standing block is to represent actually felling a tree. The underhand's actually taking the crown of the tree out, so you've got the timber block.
How good was that? Yeah, you wouldn't want to meet that first guy in a dark alley, would you? He'd clean you up. He's probably a gentle giant, though. They work hard, and he's having a big rest at the end there. All right, so what do you think of that, guys? Those blades sure are... I'm just reading a quick thing there as well. Those blades sure are sharp. Those guys, I'm positive, would also sharpen their own axes. Now, that leads me on to the next thing that I've got here. During the week, we had a fair bit of wind last week, and this is the result. Next to my place, you can see there's a tree down. So that's looking out over the top of the workshop. And looking at it from the side, what happened was there is another one there, guys. It's a bit distracting having the trolls running. Okay, so this is the bottom of the tree. So what had happened there was during a bushfire, the tree had been kind of burnt out a little bit in the bottom, created a bit of a chimney there. And it makes it really, really weak. And so the thing, as soon as the strong wind comes up, down it goes. Here's another shot of it down the length of it. Now, when I went out there to have a look, see what had happened, I nearly trod on this little guy. Now, these guys don't run away. They're there to they know that they're very well disguised. That's just a leaf that's lying on the ground beside him. So he'd stay dead still. I got down there with the camera and took photos, and he didn't budge. I put the camera almost right in his face. Just amazing little guys. Okay, yes, that guy could launch a baseball straight out of the stadium. What do you reckon? And that's Australian hardwood. I don't know what type of axes they are, Peter, but maybe you guys could work it out between yourselves. All right, next thing, I think we better start into a bit of a demonstration. I think that's all that I've got at this stage. Yep, let's start on the demo. Now, what do you want to see first? Maybe the scroll saw one first. It's only a little short one that I wanted to show you. So I will bring the scroll saw over here. Actually, I'll put it right here. Give me a second. Now, it will make a little bit of noise, but don't panic about that. I think I'll move that there. This over here, I think you can still see me there. I'll tip it down towards where the scroll saw is going to be. And bring it over. I have it hooked up to... I don't know if you can see that or not. I've got it hooked up to the little dust extractor. So if the dust extractor will turn on when I turn the scroll saw on. Now this is a little jet scroll saw. And it's a 16-inch machine. It's a standard configuration for this saw. Tip this up just a little. I'll come back over here further. Alright, now I had it set up over there, but I thought it might be better if I do it here, because then you can see what I'm doing. I've set the angle underneath here at 4 degrees. So there's the little protractor down there. Well, let me see if I can do better presenting. Down here's a protractor. So I've tipped the top over at 4 degrees. Dust port there. Not that it's going to do much. Scroll saws don't catch much dust. Now, I'm not an avid scroll saw user. I use it every now and then, maybe once or twice a year, and that's about it. So I turn it on. When you turn a scroll saw on, these little guys, you turn it up to full bore, turn it up to flat out, and then you hit the button. You can then turn it back down again. If you turn a scroll saw on at its slower speed, it may not have enough grunt to activate it. You know, when you get started, you just need that little bit more power. So I'll spin it around. I've got another message there from Carl, I think. Oh no, all good, all good, all good, all good. Now listen how quiet this is. Is that vibrating the bench as well or not? I don't know, it might make it a little bit blurry on the picture. Let's see. I'll turn it off again. It should be okay. Look, if there's a little bit of vibration, not to worry. I'll get the piece of timber that we're going to do. I'm going to try it with an ordinary piece of pine and also plywood. Now, plywood is going to be better for me in a way, because this is what we're going to do. See that little relief there? How cool is that? See, if I put my hand behind it, it might show better. And there's no glue holding that in. You see from underneath? That's all there is to it. All right. Picture's good. Excellent. Thanks. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. Now, the most noise is going to come from the little dust extractor down the bottom there. A little bit of noise from here. So I'll turn it up to flat out again, which is 1600 oscillations, strokes, I don't know. There we go. Let's try it with this one first. Now the thing is, I don't know if you can hear me or not, but the thing is, you always start from the same side if you're doing this. Don't turn it around and go the other direction. So here we go. Okay. I'm going to keep that one out there. Starting from the right hand side again. And from the right hand side again. Don't get tempted to start from this side and go backwards. It's not going to work. Let's try that. Let's see if it goes together again. You guys can't see it down there. I'll pop it up there. You may not even be able to see it there. Now, that's it all back together. What is the best blade for use for scrolling in general? Zane, I don't know. Look, this one here is a fine blade. When you buy a packet of blades, on the packet it tells you what it's best for. So you might find that you've got a packet of blades that's good for cutting perspex. You might find blades that are good for cutting hardwood and a rough cut or a fine cut, and tell you the thickness they're designed for. This is just a conventional blade, which is straight up and down. The teeth are pointing down. You can get spiral blades, which is basically all of the blade is sharp right the way around. And okay, I don't know. Maybe there was, I just read that thing about why does it say message deleted. Maybe there was a troll doing some stuff and we've wiped him out. That's fine. Okay, so yeah, so the blades, it's pretty easy. Just go into a store that sells scroll saw blades or online and have a look through them and look at the packets and see what it says the blades are doing. So the finer the cut, the more teeth per inch there will be. So you might see that a blade has got 18 or 20 or 24 teeth per inch. That'll be a fine cut. You might find that you've got blades that are a file. You might find blades that are designed for cutting metal. So basically be copper and aluminium and brass and things like that. I don't think I'd be wanting to cut mild steel with this. There's other ways of doing that. Okay, let me have a look here. There's another picture. Good. We got him, Dave. Good on you. Good on you, John. John's riding shotgun for me around. You know, he's one of the deputies. Getcha. Now, so I've done this. So you can see on the side the angle. I'm holding all the parts together. So what I'll do now is I will push them all up and hopefully it will work like I said it would. There's one little trick to it. I could pop some glue in there if I wanted to. And the trick is, what do you think of that? There's no glue there. It's just that 4-degree angle makes a difference. Okay, here's another one. And then I can slide it into there. That's where it came out of. As I say, this one, it's not a big thing, but I thought, yeah, it's a cute little trick. There it is. Sitting up nice and proud. All right. That might do me for scroll saws because everyone's probably going to sleep. Let's get into the sharpening. But the scroll saw, this little jet is a nice machine. I wouldn't really recommend it for someone who's doing a whole lot of work. There's stronger machines out there, but for an entry style saw, this is fine. It's got a little blower up here. I can variable speed. I can tilt the table. With the better models, the table stays still and the whole arm moves over backwards and forwards, so that if I need to do angled work, I'm comfortable sitting flat. I'm not having to hold a piece of timber like that and work kind of around the corner, if you follow. All right, and the dust extraction wasn't too bad. There was a little adapter I made down the bottom there. The old masking tape adapter. All right, where are we? I'll move this out of the way. Now, I'll move over to here. I think should be fine. I will move a couple of things around here, and I'll pop the Stanton bench up as well. These work great. The reason I've got these up here today is to reduce echo, because they act as a baffle for the sound. What's it catching on? Ah, I forgot to take out one of the Craig supports underneath here in the base section. Done. Now that's sitting perfect. Beautiful. I will now raise that up a little, or maybe even just bring this in closer and tip it down, so you can see what I'm doing. The throat depth is a 16-inch. All right. How I do things. Now you're not going to be able to see me at the moment, but that's no big drama. Actually, what I might do, this isn't sounding very professional, but move the camera back over here, tip it up ever so a little bit there. All right, that's going to be about as good as it's going to get. A little bit more. Done. Live. Spin this one around so I can see what's going on there. All right. Now, all good. I don't know. Maybe the moderators thought that you did do something. As I said, I don't use water stones. I've never really got into water stones. I would like a diamond stone, but I haven't got any water stones. I have an old oil stone, and this oil stone I've had since I was 16, so I've had this a long time. But this is one of the first jobs I made as an apprentice, making that box for the oil stone to live in. Now, one of the things with an oil stone is you need to try and keep it clean, because oil, as you can imagine, is messy stuff. I'll jump into a couple of things here. I use bits of rag like this to clean the stone with eucalypt oil. The rag I get from old sheets, you know, an old sheet from Vinnie's or somewhere like that, tear it up into small pieces. You can see that I hadn't torn it up. I've been using it for other things. Maybe even under the car to change the oil in the car I get on top of that, so I'm not in the cold concrete. So, there's the stone. Eucalyptus oil. You can use kerosene, but I prefer the smell of eucalyptus oil. And it does a magic job. Look at that straight away. Try not to present the rag back to there. You could actually pour a bit of that out into a container, but rotate the rag around, then you're not going to contaminate the eucalyptus oil with the oil that machine oil that you washed off the stone. How good is that? That is a lovely clean stone now. I'll show you how it works on the other side. That's the other side. You can see I've done a little bit of a touch up on cleaning it. So that's the first side. There was the coarse side. This is going to be the fine side. We'll get it. This is all part of it. Look at that. If you're using a water stone, a Japanese water stone, you'd probably be familiar with a thing called a naguru stone, which is a fine clay that's in a little block about this long. And it does two things. It provides slip, and it also cleans the ferrous material that's come off the chisels as you've been cleaning them. But that, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Like, where do I stop? I keep cleaning. Look at the difference. All it is, eucalyptus oil. Alright, that's enough for the eucalyptus oil. and we'll hook into the next part. I'm hoping I'm not boring you too much. Now, what's the next bit? Let's get a chisel. Okay, I have a few chisels, and what I might do first is go through how I sharpen, or how I set up the Veritas Honing Guide Mark II, or Veritas Mark II, whatever it's called. It hasn't even got a name on it. It's got Veritas written on it. All right, this is the registration jig. Okay. Now, it's designed to act as a fence on the side. This side is a fence, and this stop sets the distance along the fence so that the chisel will end up being centered and the right distance from here out to the tip of the chisel to give it the correct angle as it presents to the stone. It's very clever. Now, I don't use it apart from, all I'd use is the yellow section. So you see I've got the brass knob tightened up against the yellow point there. There's a green section and a red section. I don't know how to use those, so I don't muck around with them. Along here as well, we have yellow and red and green sections also. Now I'm going to find out what angle my chisel is already. Let's run with this one. Shouldn't be too bad. No, that one's got a bit of gunk underneath it. Okay, let's go with the big chisel. You can see this one needs a little bit of a tidy up. And I'm going to use this, which tells me the angle the chisel is, so I can set the guide up. And how I do that is I slide the chisel in until I get the right angle. Still got a wobble. Oh, that's pretty good. That's it. Now you see the chisel has got that hole to rest in against, so it's not actually touching the metal as I slide it in. Also, this is brass, which is a whole lot softer than the steel. So the main thing is not to damage the blade. Now that is, I'll put it back in there so I can see what it is, 25 degrees. So there you go. It just tells me on the side straight away what it is. So 25 degrees is what I have to set the jig at. I'll come over here and I'll do it from this side so it's a bit easier for you to see what I'm seeing. So at the moment it's on 30 degrees. Remember, we're going to stick with the yellow for the standard angles. See that? Beautiful. So we'll release this and slide it along to that indent that says 25. As you tighten it up, it goes to it. All right, this up the end here is a dovetail section. So I can open that up like that. Okay, dovetail. Whilst we're still here, I'm going to slide it into the jig. Now that chisel that I'm going to use, I think, is 1 1/4 inches, which should be stamped on it somewhere, but it's a pretty old chisel, so it may not be there anymore. I could measure it. I think it's 1 1/4 inches. So along the side here, I've got calibrations. Okay, so we go to there and tighten her up. So when it's around this way, you can see it's 1 1/4 inches. So that has set the fence. There's the fence, so it's going to put the chisel in the center of where the roller is, and the distance the chisel comes to will be to there. So now we open up the clamp. Now the clamp is there that holds the chisel in position. And we put the chisel in bevel up. Okay, bevel up. And we slide it up to the point that it's got to go to. It's actually a bit more than 1 1/4 inches. I think that might be 1.5 inches. Let's move that along. to 1.5 inches. Okay, so it's pretty easy. Very, very easy to use. That's looking better. Alright, now I hold it there and then I slowly tighten up the clamps. This is a bit awkward to show you. Now, it's not a competition for strength. We just put it in there and that's that. Now then what we do is we take the registration jig off. Now we take the registration jig off this direction, off this side. It can't go that way because the fence is there. Okay, so we loosen that off, pull it out, and there you go. That's how you put a chisel in a... okay, all right. Sharpens your chisels. Okay, all good. So I'm reading on the stream as well. So there we go. It's all set, ready to go. And the other thing is, the last thing you need to do is make sure that this little cam is pointing up at 12 o'clock, like that one here. See, there's a tiny little indent there. I'll bring it in close. See that indent? 12 o'clock. We're going to get the micro bevel by turning that down to 6 o'clock, a little bit more after we've got this part done. All right. Well, that wasn't too hard. 20 minutes to go. You know, sharpening is one of those things that we all have to do it, except for if you're fortunate enough to have someone who can sharpen everything for you, and you just say, hey, there you go, there's the stuff, go for it. Now, the other thing with this holder that I made, in the bottom of it, you can see possibly there's a whole lot of panel pins that have been bent over or cut off over time. So what I do is I put a panel pin in there, tap it in, and then I get my, what do you call them? Oh, nail pullers, and I shear it off. Click, 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 and it leaves a bit of it exposed. And then it can sit on a surface and not move around. All right, we'll put the coarse side up first, and I can either do it on the Stanton bench right there on a piece of wood because of the non-slip cushion strip there, which is brilliant. Or I could use a bench hook and hook it over the edge and sit this on there if I didn't have any, little marks there or those little pins in, and work on it like that. But I'm going to work on it on that. Now, why am I putting it on another piece of wood? 2 reasons. I don't want to go sticking the pins into this top. Also, if there's any spill out from the oil here, I don't want it going onto the top. It'll go onto this sacrificial piece of wood. Now, what do I use? I use a bit of ordinary machine oil and a bit of WD-40. You like the Tormek, eh? Well, there you go. And that rag, oh, get another rag. So I'll give it a wipe around. Beautiful. Now, present the fingers down the inside, thumbs down the inside there. Can you see if I put my thumbs inside? Okay, and fingers down against the tip without going past it. Work it around the stone as much as you can. And turn the stone around. The thing is, with any stone, keep it even wear. Specs on, have a look. That's very good. Very, very good. Give it a bit of a rub off so I can see what's happening. Now, just about all of the little dents have disappeared. There'll be tiny little chips out of the sharp edge of the chisel, And while I'm on the coarse side of the stone, I want to get it down so that all of those have disappeared. The other good thing about it being in the jig is it's maintaining that 90 degree. This section here is always going to be 90 degrees whilst while it's in the jig. I can see I'm getting a bit of build up on the stone now. From the sharpening. Oh, that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Now I'm not going to do anything on the back of the chisel with it coarse like this. I'll do that when I turn it over. Okay, so I've got that beautiful clean surface there. And a little bit of WD. Now, it doesn't have to be WD, as I was saying before. It could be kerosene and a bit of light oil. But doing it this way just seems to work for me. Move it around a bit. Other things you can do if you want to is you can use a piece of float glass and put, you know, different grades of wet and dry paper on it. As soon as you wet the back of the paper, it'll stick to the float glass, and you can use the same kind of process that I'm doing now, using the Mark II honing guide. Oh, that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I'm going to give it a slight touch across the back, just to remove the burr for the moment. And again, a little bit more here. Turning the stone all the time. That's looking pretty good. We're getting very close. Also, this is getting very sharp, so just be careful with it. Philip Quinn missed the beginning. What's your favourite chisel? The one that actually does the job. Different chisels for different purposes. You've got chisels that are for paring. This is, you know, not a paring chisel. The distance from there to there is very short. A paring chisel normally has a whole lot more length before it starts to have any section for the handle happening. So, you know, it's normally a nice long thing. You'll have different chisels for locks. If I'm installing a lock or doing the strike plate for a lock, I like to have the chisel exactly the width of the strike plate, so as I go down and chip out the section, because that's how I do it, I don't use a route for it, because the way I did it was how I did it, with a scribe line either side, and then chop, 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 and then it just falls out. It's one of those things, maybe I'll do a show on it, but it's pretty easy to do. So as I say, different sizes for different depths. You've got chisels for mortises, a mortise chisel, and that's a very thick section here, so it'll be out, you know, a lot wider than this. Of course, they're designed to go down inside a mortise and pair off, you know, and prise off, I should say. So they've got to be very strong. It's a very shallow, very steep angle. It's not going to be a 25, it'll be close to around a 35 degree angle on those. So that's that's that. On coffee. I can't stop drinking the coffee. All right, now has everyone gone, or am I the only person staying here? Okay, now I'm going to turn the cam on the roller at the bottom here around to 6 o'clock. So you can see now that it's been, this point here is down, pointing it down at the bottom of the roller. Now what that's going to do is give me my micro bevel. So it's pushed the roller ever so, just a fraction down. So it's tipping the back of the handle up just a little bit more. So that's going to give me my micro bevel. And we don't have to do that much. Turn it around. Notice I'm only giving it a few touches. Now I'm going to take the chisel out of the jig, because there's a couple of things I do to finish off. Put it down there. Now I'm going to put the chisel right across the whole lot. And pull back like so. Now I'm going to strop it. And I do it the way that I was taught, and that is using my hand as a strop. This is something that, you know, if you know how to do it, by all means do it. But please don't do this. It's going to sound a bit weird, someone showing you how to do something and say don't do it. I'm just letting you know how I do it. Now, stropping with your hand, you must make sure that your hand's always open and you roll your hand over the blade at the same time. Okay, so basically we're doing that. You can use leather, a leather strop on a block, and rub it with a polishing compound if you wanted to, or you can just use, again, a piece of leather or hard material. You could even use a piece of pine if you wanted to. So I strop like this. Notice I'm holding the chisel in the center, so it wobbles around. It's not going to stick into anything. I present my hand flat and I roll off. This is in slow motion. All right, there we go. Got a trial again, have we? Now, this is another thing. When I've got it sharp, and this is bloody sharp now, I haven't gone to any amazing grits or anything. I've just gone to the way that I do it. Now I need to test that it's sharp. Please do not push chisels along your skin and shave your skin. This will shave my skin. I know it'll do it. But there's an easier way to test for sharp. If you hold the chisel against the thumbnail and it catches, it's sharp. All right? That's all there is to it. Now, let's see if I've got a piece of wood here, and I can run this down the side. Also, another little thing like plane blades, when you put a chisel down, you notice I just put it down flat. I didn't put it with the bevel up, I put it with the bevel down. Let's see. It's sharp, does the job. So that's using the jig. Now I did say I'd show you how to do it by hand. Another chisel. This one doesn't look too bad. Bit of rubbish on the back of it. That's the way it goes. I'll quickly clean that rubbish off. All right, all gone. So how I do this, if I'm doing it by hand instead of using a jig, is I'll put a little bit more oil on than I did last time. Quickly touch the back. It's nearly there, a little bit more to do on the back. That's not too bad. All right. Now, I'm not going to put the chisel into a measure or anything like that. I'm not going to use this. I'm just going to go straight in. Stropping after sharpening. All right, let me answer that quickly. You'll have a little bit of a burr left on the chisel. Now, the burr could be hanging over or the other way with a scraper. It's good to have a burr. You need the burr to be able to pull material off. But with a chisel, you do not want a burr there at all. So I've been sharpening this way, I've been sharpening it flat, all that kind of stuff, and you'll get a burr from where the points have converged and actually gone past, and it's over sharpened. Stropping gets rid of the burr. It pulls it off. It just bends the metal backwards and forwards. You know, if you've got a piece of wire, you bend a wire, eventually it'll snap. That's what you're doing when you're stropping. You're snapping off the burr, but it's a much, much finer process using a leather strop or the palm of your hand. Now, bring the chisel with the bevel down, and I'll bring this in closer. I think it's going to be easier for you guys to see. All right. That any better? I'm going to put the chisel there. You may or may not see this. I'm going to push it down into the pool of oil and see the oil push away. I remember that height just from muscle memory. I'll bring it back this way so I'm evenly over the strips. And I know what height it is. Figure 8. See, you can feel it rocking from the front to the back of the ground. It's where it's been grounded on the stone. Round again. I'm putting even pressure on the blade. Either side, I'm pushing down. I'm supporting either side of the blade and holding the angle by my thumb. My fingers at the back here are off the stone, but only just. And I keep on going back to that rock point. Hear it rocking? Now, I know that it's going off to one side. It's very hard to look at. But the back is straight. I think that from another day when I've been sharpening it, all of that happened to it. It's getting contrast. It's finding a contrast point. Let me put my hand behind it. There we go. But that side, dead square. Now I put it down flat with the bevel up. Relieving the burr. And a bit more this way. And now I can do the micro bevel by bringing it up ever so much, just a tiny bit above. That's the micro bevel. And done. And then strop it. Doesn't take long. That was didn't take long at all. Give it a quick test. See if it's sharp. Yep, it's catching me. All right, this one again. Looking for a bit of grain that's going in the right direction. I'd be happy to use that. Not a problem at all. Nice sharp chisel. So there you go. That's how to sharpen chisels. It's the way that Dave does it. I have done videos on how to use a bench grinder to create the hollow grind, which is that section at the bottom there, like that dip section. Don't know if you'll be able to see it much there. And I might do something with the bench grinder another day on the show, but not today because we'll run out of time. I'll bring this all back over there and bring this back here. All of my organisation. Well, I think that worked a whole lot better this week, guys. Best blade for scroll sawing and the purpose of stropping. I think I answered all those questions. bring this, no, I'll just sit down and move that one back to there. I might spend a bit more time this afternoon and just go through and sharpen up. Alright, boys and girls, thank you very much for coming. Let me have a look, see if I've got... Takes off the wire edge. Old barbers drop their straight razors. Yes, polishes the edge and gets rid of the burr. So the difference to when you do the back of the chisel on the stone. Well, the back, yeah, we're only sharpening the top on the bevel side, the bevel up. So, when we turn the bevel down, facing down towards the stone, that's where all the sharpening is happening. The back is just making sure that it's staying flat consistently, and also any burr that's rolled over, it's going to push it back flat, and then we strop it off. Graham, I remember old school barbers stropping the cutthroat razors with a leather strop, like a chip off the old block. Dave, yes. James West. Morning, Dave. How are you? I'm fine, buddy, and we're just about to go. Please keep this chat serious. We are here to learn. Corey. Thanks, Corey. That's 12 o'clock. Do you hear that little chime in the background? Thanks again for watching, everyone. I will try and work out what we're going to do next week. As I say, throw in some suggestions to me. Send a suggestion off to davestantonfans@gmail.com, and I'll try and get some stuff done. Stephen Wallbank wants me to do a little bit on the WDS 400, which is my drum sander, my white drum sander. I have not at this stage tuned it up to get it dead parallel. So I might go through that next week and we'll do some testing. So it might be a boring one, but if you own a drum sander, I'll show you how to shim it up, and we'll take it from there. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. And don't forget, thumbs up if you like the show, and keep coming back. I'm sorry I didn't get a video done last week, but I was under the pump, and this is one of the things that I had been doing for my wife. She bought this old roll-top desk, and none of the runners had been glued, so I had to do all that for her. But we do these things because why not? We look after each other. Thanks again for watching, and I shall see you.